Hi everybody. So today we are taking the rhythms that we did last week and we are applying them to melodies. So remember that last week we talked about different divisions of, we'll call them tuplets, but of triplets in simple meter and of duplets in compound meter. So we've seen them before as, just a triplet, but we can subdivide the triplet further. We can divide them all into sixes. We can have triplets over larger spans. Same thing goes for duplets in compound time signatures. So all we're doing today is we're going to sing through a couple melodies. Hopefully this video and Wednesday's video will be a little bit short. We'll kind of blaze through these because there's not really that much to do. Wednesday will be a dictation for these types of melodies, and then we'll return to harmonic dictations on Friday. So before we do that, let's go ahead and get on into it with the warm-up here. So let's go ahead and I'll start off with a major scale. 1, 2, major scale. Okay, let's go ahead and go here. Major scale. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's go down a half step. Let's go ahead and do minor. Let's do harmonic minor, please. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so this first example here, okay? We're starting off with one that's a little bit tricky for a variety of reasons. The key, the rhythms, and the clef. Okay, so we're back in good old alto clef. What key are we in? Well, we don't see any accidentals, so it's probably going to be some kind of major key. And if we look at the first note, we look at the last note, we see that it's an F sharp at the end and an A sharp at the beginning. With our key signature, that would put this in F sharp major, okay? So, notice that most of our odd subdivisions are at the very beginning of the piece, right? And we've got this tricky dotted tuplet rhythm, right? So this triplet rhythm that's been subdivided. So it's more than just 2 and 1 ta li, right? Or probably 2, boy oh boy, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 la li, right? Instead of that, we've pushed la back a bit and made it ta. So we've got 1 tali, 2 tali, 1 tali, 2 tali. But the trick is to be able to switch back and forth between 1 tali, 2 tali, 1 and 2 and 1 tali, 2 tali. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? So remember that our strategy last time, we talked about last week, for doing these kind of rhythms is to try to kind of switch phase between modes. So keep the beat intact, because the beat will not change, but the subdivision, or rather just the division, will change. So 1 and 2 and 1 la li, 2 la li, 1 and 2 and 1 la li, 2 la li. If you keep that going in your head, and when you're performing the rhythms, you just fit whatever rhythm goes with that subdivision, for instance. So that will really make this a bit quicker and easier to do on the fly. So let's go ahead and sing through F sharp major, please. 1, 2, ready, go. Starts on me, right? So we're going to do two things. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to prepare, okay? So think about pitch, think about rhythm, okay? Then we're going to come back. We're going to do two performances of this. The first performance of this is going to be just the rhythm. We're going to clap the rhythm. The second time through, we're going to add the pitch in, okay? So go ahead and take 30 seconds and take a look at this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and conduct for you. I'm going to conduct in 2. Go ahead and take a pass through right now, and let's go ahead and clap the rhythm, okay? 1 and 2 and 1 and. Okay, so yeah, this is a deceptively simple tune, I think. Rhythmically, it's got kind of a lot going on. The clef obscures things. There's a kind of a lot of things to obscure what's a relatively simple melody. The first half is almost entirely stepwise, barring a couple skips. The second half is almost entirely just going between do and sol with a couple little neighbor motions here and there. Okay, so let's take a look at the first measure of the second staff. We've got 1 tali, 2 e and a, right? So we've got two heavily subdivided beats in two different time fields. So it's like we've got 1 la li 2 and 1 la li 2 and 1 tali 2 e and a 1 tali 2 e and a. That's the rhythm, okay? Kind of tricky. Elsewhere in the piece, as you can see, it doesn't really alternate back and forth as much, so it's kind of easier to keep track of what feel you're in and you have more time to adjust. But in that particular measure, you have no time. 1 tali 2 e and a 1 tali 2 e and a 1 tali 2 e and a, and so on. Okay, so at that tempo, okay, let's go ahead and try this now with pitch. I'm just going to conduct again. Okay, so you're on your own for rhythm and for pitch. You ready? 1 and 2 and 1 and. Yeah, okay, so that's a little bit quick for the 16th notes, but the 16th notes are always just... They're just repeated notes or they're stepwise. So that's why I wasn't that worried about going that fast. Make sure that we catch between measure, the first full measure and the second full measure. Pardon me. Oh, my. I'm starting in the wrong place. Right? We skip from sol at the end of measure 1 down to mi. It sounds like it should go to fa, but it doesn't. It goes down to mi. Okay? So let's go ahead and try that one more time. I'm going to help out a little bit with pitch. Here we go. 1 and... Sorry. There's mi. 1 and 2 and 1 and... Sorry, my finger slipped into me at the end there, but that's the gist, okay? I know that that's a bit of a quick melody, but I mean, at this point, something like this, we've been doing all these odd intervals within the octave, within diatonicism. In this case, the trickiest intervals are between members of the tonic triad. So this should be, the difficult part of this should be the rhythm and maybe the clef, but it should not be the notes. So hopefully we're on the same page there. Okay, let's go ahead and push forward. Let's go ahead and take a look at a compound time, or pardon me, more time with simple. This one's a little bit more straightforward than the last one. We've got treble clef. We start on beat 2, so pay attention to that. Notice we've got this kind of odd 4 against 3 type feel. So what this does, and this is what's interesting about 3/4 as a time signature, okay? 3/4 is tricky because at slow tempos, it's simple. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. But if you go fast enough, it becomes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it just becomes a simple time, right? So in this case, by putting a 4, a quadruplet, or rather a divided duplet, by putting that over 3, it's like we're doing a simple time over a compound time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Over time, that would be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's tricky. That's a tricky thing to do. It's basically the hemiola. We've talked about hemiola before, I believe. It's basically that in principle, but it's a little bit more complicated because it is longer. Okay? So, but thinking about stretching 4 notes in the span of 3 is useful. If you keep your pulse going, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. In this particular case, an asset for you is that there's not really much else going on besides that. So, looking at our piece, what key are we in, right? Well, doesn't look like it's E minor, right? Because there's no accidentals to suggest E minor, and we don't end on E, and we start on D, so that's out. But it doesn't look like G because we don't end on G. Well, ha ha ha, we end up ending on Mi. We delay our arrival down to 1 right here, and instead we go up to the 3rd. Quite a nice ending, okay? Starts on Sol, and then we descend our way down, and so on. So, with this rhythm in mind, go ahead and take 45 seconds. Take a look at pitch. We'll do the scale in a second. Take a look at pitch, but spend most of your time trying to get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's going to be a little bit tricky for some of us, I think. So before we do that, though, G major scale. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, we start up here on Sol. Ready? Okay, so go ahead and take 45 seconds. Look over pitch, look over rhythm. Okay, let's go ahead and try this out. Okay. Oh, my fingers are not agreeing with me today. Here we go. Okay. Starts on beat 2. I'm going to give you 4 beats of prep. 1, 2, 3, 1. Rest. Yeah. Ends on Mi. Okay? So let's go ahead and try that again. You did it once without me. Hopefully the quadruplets went well. If not, let's go ahead and go through and like really clean them up here. So, okay, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah. It's a very short example, and we're so trained now to go to do that Mi sounds kind of odd without the implied do beneath it. In any case, also, I beg your pardon, again, I had another slip of the fingers from that D up to that E, from Sol up to La. In any case, hopefully that wasn't too bad. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, even I fudged that up a little bit. It is kind of like a double hemiola, if you want to think of it that way. Because 4 against 3 can be kind of tricky, but if you just practice it, it's a way to do it. What I would recommend is if you're having a hard time singing it or even clapping it, have your feet going and stomp extra hard to accent every third or every downbeat of a measure of 3. So this kind of... and so on, that kind of thing. Kind of separating your limbs a bit might make it a little bit easier to embody. In any case, not a huge deal. This whole chapter is kind of special cases. We don't really see these types of rhythms as much, but they're still important to know. And certain repertoire, like wind ensemble repertoire, is going to be far more rhythmically active in general than your more classical orchestral repertoire. Anyways, let's go ahead and do one more example. One more example. This one's a little bit longer, but notice that we don't really have any sort of duplet action till the end. Okay, so we're in compound time. Looking at our key signature, what key would we be in? We would in fact be in E minor. We don't ever get T, we basically only go from do up to lay. But in any case, we are in E minor. So we could do E natural, or we could do E harmonic minor. It wouldn't really matter either way. Let's go ahead and sing E harmonic minor. 1, 2, ready, go. So, starts on do, ends on do. Lots of interplay between 1 and 5. We've got some sol up to lay, back down to sol, that half-step motion. Everything else is primarily stepwise. Really, the only thing is the quadruplet and the tuplet. Now, or the duplet. Now, remember, for a duplet feel, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and 1, and, 1 and 2, and 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 and 2 E, and 1 lolly, that kind of thing. A quadruplet is just splitting up your duplet into kind of half, so to speak. Okay? So, this one I don't think is going to, compared to what we just did with the last two, I don't think this one is going to pose as much of a challenge. So, take 30 seconds. Keyboard didn't like that one. Here we go. So there's your note. Take 30 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and do a sing through of this. Okay, let's go ahead and try this out. Okay. I'm going to give you 3 full beats. You're going to come in on the 4th beat as a pickup. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly. Yeah, so I'd imagine that the ending was probably the roughest spot for all of us. We do have this kind of interplay. I'm starting where it says mezzo piano. Right, so in this case, because we're going from 3 beats in the 3 subdivisions, 3 attacks in a beat, to 4, that's what makes this feels kind of like we're rushing, so to speak. So this is the first measure of the last staff. We kind of switch to simple time and don't really come back because of how this ends, right? So it is going to feel kind of odd, because that's the thing about switching between compound and simple times, is that when you're in compound time, you're working with 3 based, and especially if you're going without subdivisions in compound time, you're just going from 1 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Duplets are going to feel slow because you've got 1 less attack. 1 lolly, 2, and 1 lolly, 2, and... But a quadruplet's going to feel fast because you've got now an extra note. 1 lolly, 2 E, and 1 lolly, 2 E, and that's kind of tricky. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through this one more time. This time I'm going to help you out on the keyboard. Really try to nail the rhythms in the second half. The first half, there's really nothing to write home about. So, okay. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly, 2. Yeah. nasty piece of business at the end there, because you really have to be ready for that in the solfege. Now, what's nice about this example and why I went that tempo, not only just as kind of a means to challenge you, but also because, being able to look at a rhythm and to not be intimidated by how many subdivisions there are is a key skill in sight reading, because if we look at the notes, note-wise, not a lot's happening here. It's stepwise, and even though we have 4 in those quadruplets, we've got 4 different notes at play here, they're really only 2 pitches, right? Right? It's not too bad. So just don't be intimidated by the speed. When in doubt, really try to think at the beat level. Think in upper levels of rhythm instead of thinking about like note, 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 because then it can be really easy to overwhelm yourself with the speed of a rhythm. Okay? So let's talk about what we're doing next time. We're doing melodic dictation of these types of melodies. I can't remember if I have 2 or 3, but there's several. That'll be on Wednesday. Harmonic dictation, we're going to spend time on Friday. There's nothing really new to introduce. It's more just doing all that we've been doing up till this point, but in longer progressions. Your participation assignment, that is due Friday, June 29th at 8 a.m. I'd like you to get harmonic dictation proficiency in MacGamut to level 10. So I had warned us about this last week. Hopefully some of you heeded the warning if you were a little bit behind. Level 10 is going to get us to where we are at in the course, because level 10 is all diatonic harmonic possibilities, and then once we get into module 11 and moving forward, that's where we're going to be in the fall. So yeah, definitely shoot for level 10. If there's any difficulties, whether they're technical difficulties, whether they're just general questions, whether you need an extension, whether you haven't, I'm happy to accommodate, because MacGamut is quite a bit harder than the things that we do in here, but it's great practice. So I would rather you practice a bunch and not necessarily get to level 10 than just kind of give up because it's a little bit difficult. Okay, so just reach out to me if there's any difficulties, but I'm sure that all of you can do it. I have my utmost confidence that with practice you guys can all get there. So in any case, email me if you have any questions. It's participation due this week. Email me your MacGamut file Friday morning by 8 o'clock. Okay? So, next time, melodic dictation, Friday harmonic dictation. Can't believe it, but we're already at in week 9 here, and for us, that's basically the last week of class. So, home stretch, guys. So, with that, thank all of you, and I will see you all next time.